Lovely, thank you very much, everybody. So obviously today we are talking about physically attacking the staff that we pay to come into our offices every day. So just a quick, who the hell is Lisa, apart from a gin guzzling lush who likes whippets and running. I founded and direct, if that's the right language to use, Barclay Jones. I'm in my 12th year now, all very exciting. And we do three things. We do recruiter training because we want to help them generate more sales with the technology that they have, not just hitting the phone all the time and hoping to God something good happens. We actually want to make their lives as simple as possible. We work with recruiters to help them understand what tech they've got in their business and how to make it work. So thank you, APSCo, for letting me speak at one of their events yesterday, talking about 2020 technology. We will send out a link very soon to a webinar that we're going to be running in November, specifically about that content. And we also mentor and coach sales and marketing professionals to help them understand, again, how to generate convertible leads. Oh, and we've won an award, which is quite nice. Thanks, APSCo. So today we're going to be looking at a number of different things, but before we start, I just want to make sure that you can all hear me okay. So can you go to your chat panels, please? Just let me know where you're dialing in from, and have you seen your first Christmas tree yet? Give me a yes or a no. Lovely stuff. Hey, Michelle. So a few of you, and I must admit, I've not seen mine yet, so I'm a bit excited, but we've got light night in Leeds tomorrow night, and normally, obviously, everything lights up. I don't know if you've ever been to a light night, but they are stunning. So I'm crossing my fingers because I am a bit of a Christmas bunny, and if I could watch Elf every day of the week and year, I absolutely would. And I defy even a Scrooge to watch Elf and not have a bit of a tinker at that. So anyway, right, so we're going to find out what your goals are. We're going to talk about why recruiters leave, because they flipping well do. How very dare they? If only it was like the firm, i.e. Tom Cruise, if you even know what I'm talking about. We're going to obviously understand how much it costs when someone leaves the business, and as much as we might think we know, there's actually a little formula that we've created with some of our clients to help them understand. And then we're going to understand how we can start hitting them, because I'm a big fan of a bit of violence. I've got two boys, you see, and they're a bit rough and tumble. And then we need to think about what our 2020 action plan is going to be. As we go through the webinar, fire questions at me. Let's make this as interactive as we can. So pop into your chat facility, please, and just tell me what your goals are for 2020. I want you to imagine it's Christmas Eve 2020, God forbid, just over 12 months from now, and you're sat and you're looking at me and you're going, Lisa, thank God I managed to achieve X. I wrote a plan, I created a plan, and this is what I managed to achieve. Could you please put your answers in the chat panel? I'm not going to necessarily read them all out, do not worry, but I'm really interested in what the people on this webinar are thinking they want to do next year. Is it they want more candidates? Is it that they're opening up new branches? Are they looking to hire more staff into their own business? Are they looking to look at their technology and say, right, enough here. I'm spending a fortune just to stay the same. How can I get more return on investment from my people, my data, and my systems? Pop that data in there. Lovely. Thank you very much, everybody. Lovely. So we've got things like CRM improvements, which sounds a little bit boring, but let's cut to the chase. If your system, whether it's Bullhorn or Adapt, for example, if you can't put a figure on how much that system is making you, if you can't look at each individual recruiter within your business and understand the percentage of fees they're making from your internal systems, then we have a problem, I think, in this market, because we've got too much tech and not enough process. And we really, really need to think about this. Lovely. Because return on investment doesn't just come from marketing, because that's obviously what I hear a lot when I work with marketeers and sales directors. It should be coming from the staff that you hire all over the business and the systems and processes that they deliver. So the lovely Pos is going to start a poll for me. I want to understand your views on training in 2020, because we're on a training webinar today. So she's going to start a poll in a second. You're going to grab your mouse, click an option, and let us know what you think. Just take a few seconds. What's your instinct? Lovely jubbly. Thank you very much, Paz. You can close the poll now. Fantastic. All good stuff. Right, so I'm obviously interested in the answer to these. We'll look at these later on, but for now, let's move on to the next question. Well, it's not, by the way, going to be 45 minutes of questions, although that'd be a great way to do a survey. Glass of wine, Michelle, anybody? I mean, it is 6 minutes past 12. What percentage of placements were made from your own CRM last year? Can you answer that question for me? I'm always really interested in this because I kind of feel that this is where we add the most value to our staff to make their lives as easy as possible so they don't have to hunt everywhere. This is where we've got the most opportunity in 2020. This is how we can sit in front of our clients very straight-faced and say, come on then, you think you can do this for yourself? We've got data. Data is probably just as an important asset as your staff, if not, unfortunately, more important. Oh, did she say that? Fabulous. Thank you very much for answering that, everyone. If you can close the poll down now, that'd be gorgeous. Lovely. Okay, so just to sort of put you in the picture, because some of you know me, some of you don't. Some of you might know of me as being a bit of a LinkedIn monkey. Others might think, oh, she knows all about Bullhorn, doesn't she? But actually, my background is training, would you believe? Bit of a passionate advocate of people getting home on time, and not because they're just leaving everything to chance, but because they've had a good day and they've been really effective. I've been in training since 1993. I know, when you meet me, you think, I thought you'd only graduated a couple of years ago. No. Teaching wasn't my thing. I decided I was going to be a teacher when I was at NIP. My 11-year-old said to me the other day, Mummy, what did you do when you wanted to grow up? And I said I wanted to go into teaching. And he said, what changed your mind? I said, children. I started off as a civil service trainer, God forbid. And they used to ask me, the first training sessions I ran when I was 22 were assertiveness skills. Who'd have thought it? And then they said to me one day, Lisa, the computer trainer, show my age, has phoned in sick. Could you please go and run a course? And I looked at them and I was like, oh my God, would you believe it? When I was doing my degree, my computer booted up from a floppy disk. And I needed one of those cassette tape recorders to get things loaded up, would you believe? So my first training course ever was running DOS courses before mice were invented. And then the rest is history, because I kind of got a knack for stuff, whether it be tech or not tech, because innovation doesn't have to involve technology. It can just be doing clever stuff. Basically, going into systems, going into recruitment, ops and marketing, and then Barclay Jones was born right in the middle of a recession. Woohoo! And it's all about speed and success for us. And then all of a sudden, we decided earlier on this year that in order to scale the Barclay Jones business, we really had to focus on recruiter success, marketing success. So we've created a system called Recruitment here. I'll talk to you about that later on. We're going to talk a little bit about how to snack your staff around in a lovely way, obviously. I would like you, though, to answer a question for me. Go into the poll that POS is about to launch. Tell me what your views on systems and processes within your business. I'm really keen to understand the market and to have some information about how you view systems and processes within your business. Lovely. Just quick clicks and then off you go. Beautiful. Fantastic. Thank you very much for that information, everybody. Right. And these questions, good questions, will actually get you thinking. They're not just for me, they're there for you to get you thinking about your business. Because God forbid you're just sat there thinking, oh God, you've got some time to be on your business today, not just in it. So let's talk about why recruiters leave. And I want you to tell me why you think they do before I give you the answer. So quickly grab the poll. There's very few of these left after this, by the way, just to get you woken up, because obviously you're in a drunken stupor because it's 10 past 12 on a Thursday. Answer the questions. Why do you think recruiters leave? Whether it's your business or just the industry as a whole, why do you think recruiters leave their jobs? Fantastic. Lovely stuff. Okay then, so off we go. Thank you very much for that pause. Brilliant stuff. Now, I am a fan of the theory that recruitment used to be easier. Oh, she said it out loud, didn't she? And I'm a fan of the theory that it's never been harder to actually turn over, that sounds wrong, but make a placement. The reason I feel this, I've been in recruitment since 2000, and I've seen drastic changes in tech, ridiculous amounts of data dumping going on rather than data basing. And I've also seen that as work-life balance has become an issue, that people are working less hours. I even came across a recruitment business recently that said they've gone down to a 4-day week to improve the work-life balance of their staff. Lovely. But the recruitment industry was renowned for being very boiler room, very Wolf of Wall Street. No tech. Apart from the brain, very little data to work from, so therefore we had better relationships with our clients and candidates, probably more aggressive maybe as well, because we could be, but we've definitely got less time, and I would suggest as well we've got less process than we ever did have, because the systems are kind of getting in the way of the basics. But at the same time, we've invested very heavily in all of these systems, and as well the environment that our recruiters work in. But the margins are lower, fees are lower, retention is not good. The one secret, or the dirty secret, about the recruitment industry is our own ability to recruit and retain isn't something we like to shout about to the people that we're trying to recruit and retain on behalf of. Got to fix this, because it's terrible. I'm a big fan of, when I go into a business, I want to help them market it more effectively to their candidates, clients and colleagues. But if there's a stat in their business which is a bit of a dirty secret, we can't put that on the website, we can't talk about it in meetings, then we need to get rid of that stat, we need to improve it. But the challenge that we've got these days is we are just too distracted to actually do our flipping jobs. There's too many systems, not enough process, too much going on to prevent the sale. Some of our CRM systems are sales prevention systems. Some of our processes prevent recruiters from getting on the phone. And then we blame the recruiters that seem to be good at admin for not picking the phone up. But actually, times have changed. And some stats to make you go, why? Generation Y, Generation Z, millennials, all of these lovely people that now make up the majority of our workforce. We give them all sorts of names to describe what they are. It's never positive, but ultimately, are we giving them what they need to do their jobs? We think as an industry, and all I do is work with recruiters, and all I hear from recruitment leaders is, I've given them the tech, what more do they want? They kind of want to know how to use it. And they also want to know how to recruit with it. And often the training that we're giving them doesn't link those things together. Yes, they can use tech in inverted commas. They can press it really quickly. I've got an 11-year-old. He knows how to use his phone, but I'm not sure he's using it as effectively as he possibly can. Something to think about. 2/3 of the people that left their jobs last year said, I'm leaving because I don't feel like you've trained me enough to be good in what I'm doing. And we know a lot about the current generation, that they're less likely to buy a house, less likely to have a pension, less likely to buy, and they're more likely to lease, they're more likely to rent. They're more likely to not really have a stake in stuff, leaving things till later in life to do things. All of that is fine, it's just the way it is. You've just got to suck it up and get on with it. But actually what they need to do is they need to be successful today between 9 to 5, and they're not necessarily interested in huge amounts of money. They're interested in the ability to earn huge amounts of money. And often what I find when I'm doing internal recruitment strategies with my clients is they think it's the money that's going to sway people. And do you know what? It can. I'm not disputing that. But actually, interestingly, what we often find is that these exceptional commission rates are very difficult to achieve, because actually the data's crap, the system prevents them from doing their job, and the training that they have is minimal and probably just at induction level, and it's not consistent. So we're going to talk about that today. So what we've got here is me climbing a wall. I don't know if any of you have ever done a total warrior before. But I'd ask the question, have any of you ever trained for anything what I would call big? It might be fitness. It might be something that you consider to be quite big, like an MBA or a degree, or something, you know, that might well not be considered that big, but my God, was a big deal. Chuck that into your chat facility for me now. I want to see what you guys and girls consider big and what training you might have done. And I've got a bottle of wine in there because I consider myself to be well trained in wine tasting, she says. Be under no illusion, I like my alcohol, she says. So, okay, someone's training to be a comedy stand-up. I'm loving that. What else have we got? What else have you might have trained for? Brilliant. Someone's training to study in America. Fantastic. What else have we got going on? So people are obviously training from a management training perspective. All good stuff. Fantastic. The key to all of this is you don't just decide to run a marathon, get your trainers on and go. Crazy town. That's how you kill yourself. What you do is you have a plan and you consistently deliver on that, and you retrain and you retrain and you retrain, as opposed to do one thing and hope to God you can wing it on the day. But interestingly, training and recruitment is not known for being consistent. We put so much effort into our bodies. We also work massively long hours in our jobs, but I'm not hearing in the industry that this work is paying off. And I'm certainly not seeing it from the stats that you've shared with me today and the stats that I hear from my clients. For example, 80%, 70 to 80% of the placements that the industry made last year, the candidates were already on their internal systems, but they spent ages, hours, days, weeks, months, searching for that talent on external systems that were costing them a lot of money to add insult to injury. Not great. So employee training is a big deal. We kind of know this. We know that we can't just bring someone in, show them the toilets and hope to God they'll do well. But actually, do we know enough about training our staff consistently throughout their careers? We know that the Gen Y, Z and millennials move jobs for learning and development. They leave jobs for that reason as well. We need to focus on this in 2020 if we are to improve our retention rates, and all of the knowledge and the information that those people have, letting it seep out of the business is just unforgivable, especially in an industry which doesn't have the best of reputations, even though it commands a massive part of the economy, between 30 and 50 billion, depending on whether or not you read the Rec or the APSCo or etc. stats. But we often come across in my business, a training business, the objection that, oh my God, I don't really want to spend all this money on training because people just quit and it's costing me a fortune. But it's such a cliche statement and I can't forgive it anymore, especially when I know that the training that we deliver, potentially, yes, those people are going to quit, but that's because the training is wrong. The type of training we're delivering is wrong. We also hear as well that because you've got in-house training teams, that actually that's enough. Well, I work with in-house training teams all the time who the first thing they're going to admit is they don't have time to train effectively. They don't have time to stay current, but the last thing they're going to do is admit that, because they might feel that they're putting their jobs at risk. We equally hear from the sales directors that the in-house training is okay, the feedback is fantastic, but when the guys and gals get back to their desks, it kind of just fritters away. We're going to talk about the 70-20-10 rule and why actually that's just a fact and you're going to have to deal with it. The other challenge that you've got is that you might feel, well, they've already had the training, so why should I have to do it again? Well, again, I've got a couple of children, and I'm not suggesting children equate to recruiters, but I genuinely know how often I have to repeat myself to get anything done. And if you are in the role of training or managing, you'll know that it's not just a matter of saying do this, because we don't hire robots, we hire personalities. And they've got all of their own challenges and issues around learning that we need to take into consideration. We also, as an industry, are not brilliant at KPIing the correct stuff. And also what I say is a KPI doesn't have to be for life, it can just be for Christmas. And what we're saying here is next month, the KPI could be about data cleanliness. The month after that, it could be about job advert improvement. The month after that, it could be candidate retention. Who cares? Let's fix the problems within our business and reward great behavior. You need constant reinforcement, and you need the training to be what we all call what's in it for me. WIFM training is absolutely crucial. So it's not just about running a Bullhorn training course. It's about your recruiter using Bullhorn. This is how Bullhorn is going to help you make more money. End of. But also you might be training the wrong people. And we find this a lot, that the training is often bought for the inventory, the recruiters, the salespeople, but actually the managers aren't touched by training. They buy it for their staff, but actually they are the deal makers. And what we mean by this is they're the ones that lead the leadership of the business. They need to lead by example. Now, I must stress, it's not necessarily that we think they need to understand adapt inside out and know it well enough to train, because God forbid, that's not what it's about. But what is adapt, bullhorn, etc. doing for managers to make their lives better, so that information can leak down? So have a think about that. It's not just what's in it for me, but what's in it for managers. And what we often find as well when we go in is that the wrong things are being trained, because we're training our staff on systems, but actually what they need training on is process. Again, it's that my 11-year-old has a phone, he can use it, but how he's using it, why he's using it, the why, what's actually happening for him to get the benefit from that. Because we're still focused on telling people to get on the phone, but what we're not focused on as an industry is how to make that phone call as effective as possible, the journey that recruiter is going on. Some stats that I shared in the event that I ran yesterday with APSCo and that I'm running as a webinar in a few weeks' time is this: from a sales perspective, your client is much more likely to buy from you if you are the first person to call them, but they do take on average 5 days to make a decision. So speed is critical for 2020, and the way to get recruiters on the phone is to give them as much ammunition as they can possibly dream of, so that phone call goes as effectively as possible. And the workflow is so critical, the journey to getting to that phone. So thinking about systems and processes in 2020 that marketing and sales can use together to expose the best people to call and what to say to them when they pick the phone up, that is absolutely key. Now, if you are interested in attending the webinar about Recruitment Technology 2020 and the kinds of things I'm talking about today, then just put the word RecTech, R-E-C-T-E-C, into your chat. We'll search for that at the end and we'll send you a link to the webinar, which is going live next week. Pos will also be sending that link out as well, because she's lovely. Okay, but also you might be training the wrong way. So we know that there's a ridiculous amount of money being spent on traditional classroom training every year. And at the same time, APSCo and Deloitte, when they did their annual survey, were told by you guys and gals that training is critical to improve your business next year. Obviously, it's critical if you're going to spend that kind of cash. By the way, I'll undercut that. I'll do it for 179 billion if that helps you. You could save $1 billion between you. I mean, there's enough of you on the webinar to buy a decent pair of shoes with that saving. But the problem is with training, there is a big problem with training. The biggest problem that you've got entirely isn't how much money you want to spend on it, because I'm a big fan, if you figure out how much you're wasting by not training, it's a no-brainer to get that problem fixed. But those humans really get in the way of success. Pause, if you could start the poll asking them how much the average recruiter actually will retain after training. They've been on a traditional training course, they're walking out of the room. How much are they going to retain within the first hour? Let's get that poll open. If you could grab your mice, ladies and gentlemen, and answer that question. Lovely stuff. Beautiful. Right, lovely, close the poll, please. That'd be great. It's absolutely terrifying that the true facts are as follows. If the poll can close down. The forgetting curve kind of makes sense, really. We're all a bit busy, aren't we? But as we leave the room and we pick our phone up and we start checking our emails and dealing with our voicemails and whatever else might be going on back at the desk, 50% of what we've learned in that training room disappears. Now, that would be enough for you to say, right, that's it, never going to train anyone ever again. What's the bloody point? And I don't dispute that. But the challenge that you've got is, if you want people to be successful next year, you are going to have to train them and retrain them and retrain them. It's just how it is. It's a human fact. We can't change it. And until we can all start recruiting cyborgs, we're kind of, you know, beholden to those lovely people we've recruited. The volume of stuff we ask people to retain these days is ridiculous. Again, going back to my comment at the beginning, recruitment's become painful, but we've gotten used to it being painful. It feels normal now to have lower fees, to have more systems than we can shake a stick at, to not know where to start potentially. The current stat for recruiters that answered a survey recently of how long they take each week to source candidates for one job is 13 hours. 13 hours it takes for a recruiter to actually source for one particular role. We've just lost the screen. Just bear with me while Pos gets herself all sorted. Not quite sure what happened there. There we go. Lovely. Nice interlude, actually. Hoping you can all see my screen again. Lovely. So off we go. Too much data, not enough information. Too much data, or too many applicants, not enough candidates. Too many clients, not enough invoices. Too many systems, not enough process. Process is the bit we need to train people in. The systems obviously work beautifully if the humans work them. Very wise man once said to me, let me get this right. Humans work process, humans work systems, systems work processes. Got to join those three things together. So you need to make sure your recruitment training next year sticks. And don't assume one course fixes everything. Because the 70-20-10 model has been around for about 50 years now. Lots of lovely, much more intelligent than people than me have identified that we have a realization that there's a problem. Or we have an idea that we want to change something for the better. And it might be because we say to someone, you're not billing enough, or you're not getting on the phone enough, or Mrs. Marketer, Mr. Marketer, you're not generating the right kind of leads for my business. We need to make a change. So what we do is we send them on a course, lovely, or we ask them to do something, webinar like this. And then we send them back to the desks, and 90% of what they do back at the desks is fraught with risk because it's what's going on around them. It's the messages they see on the backs of toilet doors. It's the t-shirts that the managers wear running around the building. And we've done that recently with one client where we're doing a big data hygiene project. God, that sounds very sexy to some people out there, but cleaning up the data so we can market to it and make some money from it. So we don't have to buy hundreds of extra systems, and the managers are wearing really cool t-shirts to really get the message across, because it's a culture issue that we've got with bad data and bad processes. But we leave too much to chance when we send people on training. So it's about making sure that that training is reinforced every single day, because otherwise what's called the J curve kicks in and it screws up all of our lovely plans for change, because we have an idea of where we want to be, we have an ideal of where we want to be, and then we start the plan and it gets a little bit difficult. And if anyone's ever tried to do something really big like I did this year, which is lifting 180k in a hip thrust, you've got some ideas on, oh yeah, that looks great, you know, I'm Captain Marvel, I'll get on with that. And then you do 100k and you go, Jesus Christ, that's really, really tough. And you start off and you realize that probably giving up a bit of the drink would be a good idea, and not eating as much cheese before you go to bed would be even better, and maybe not having as many carbs after 7 would be better. And then you get into that valley of doom where it becomes tough. And in a lot of recruitment businesses that we go into, we then have to rescue them from the valley of doom because it's become difficult, because the day jobs get in the way of change. That's where my business comes in. So what happens is you end up settling for second best, crappy retention rates in your own businesses, data that's not fit for purpose, too many systems that there's not enough phone calls happening. And sometimes we need to kind of say, right, we know we're going to hit this valley of doom, and that's when we need to buckle up and really get on with it. And again, training can really help you with that. And managers being involved in the training can really help with that, because it actually costs a ridiculous amount of money when you don't train people. Pause, could you start the poll up for me? I'm interested, again, I'm doing some research here. I've done some research with my own client base. I've created a bit of a matrix to help them fill in, and I'll give that all to you outside of this webinar. But I'm interested in what you think it costs when someone leaves the business. And by the way, I'm not just interested in the rec-to-rec fees. I'm interested in generally, whilst that person is leaving and that new person is starting, and basically the downtime in your business, what you think it's actually costing your business. Lovely, thank you very much, everybody. Good stuff. Right, moving on. This is my no training cost calculator. Looks a bit rudimentary because it is. One day I'll create a bit of kit for this, or maybe I won't need to because we'll get this problem fixed. I'd at least like retention rates to change in the next few years so I can calm down. But you've got to ask yourself, if you're an average 50 staff recruiter, and by the way, the UK average is less than 10. Actually, 75% of recruitment businesses are less than 10 people. So you could take this and maybe work it for you, but when we've given this to our clients and we've said this is what we feel is the average, they've said, Lisa, you've been way too conservative, it costs a lot more, which I personally find terrifying when I speak to businesses and they say, no, we've kind of got some super users in our business. We kind of, yeah, job adverts are dead. We don't need to really worry about those. So we're not going to really train people on how to digitally attract the right people. And I'll go, well, Google for Jobs would have something to say about that. And no, we only use the free version of LinkedIn. So we're not bothered about our staff spending 50%, which is the current stat, of their day not placing people because they're too busy searching LinkedIn. So it's okay, we don't need to buy any training. I'm like, no, you kind of do. You need to really think about how the training is impacting on your business or how a lack of it is impacting. It's costing the industry a ridiculous amount of money. So now's the time to get violent. And we need to start with this HIT. Now, obviously, HIT isn't about smacking people around the head. It's actually about generating some flipping energy in that recruitment workflow. It's about doing things that work. And if you're a bit of a Joe Wicks devotee like I am, and just a bit of an exercise freak, I can hold my own. It's around saying, right, if I'm to go to the gym today, I'm probably going to focus on specific muscle groups. I'm going to focus on my heart rate, but I'm going to focus. And high intensity interval training is about that. It's about getting your heart rate up to a certain level so that afterwards you benefit from what's called the afterburn. So the afterburn is you have the training, boom, 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 and then off you go. So you can get back to your desk and deliver on that training. This is what I feel in all my experience, every recruitment leader and recruiter actually wants, is they want to focus on specific problems and fix them, rather than looking at absolutely everything and hoping to God it works. So we're a big fan at Barclay Jones of HIT training, or HIT, high intensity interval training, focusing on sourcing, focusing on digital attraction, focusing on blagging, God forbid, focusing on how to make LinkedIn make money, focusing on the marketeers in your business and how they're generating the 4 C's, candidates, clients, colleagues, and cash. We need to generate that energy in the training so that when they get back to their desk, that 90% risk that we talked about earlier doesn't make them revert back to type. Yeah, we all know if we go to, I would hope, when we go to an exercise session, that when we come out, it's very unlikely we're going to hit a bottle of wine. We're probably feeling quite virtuous, and we're probably more likely to hit an apple. All depends, I suppose, but most of us would want to keep that good stuff going. Recruiters out there actually tell us as well that HIT works better for them. So we see a 50% increase in engagement with what's called micro-learning. Micro-learning is short, sharp shocks to get people over the line rather than, oh God, I'm about to go into a 4-hour training course or a 3-hour training course. It's also about retention, much better retention, much better return on investment. The web gives us terrifying stats that actually the majority of people that are educated degree level are online all the time looking to improve themselves. And it's often the case that the majority of recruiters are normally degree level. And actually a stupidly high stat of learners out there prefer HIT, prefer micro-learning, because actually their job is littered throughout the day with multitasking. And the last thing they want to do is drop all of those balls, stop all those plates from spinning and chill the hell out on a training course, which they will only retain 50% within an hour anyway. What is the point? The data out there is screaming at everyone on this webinar to look at their business and go, we need to change how we do things because the humans are telling us this is the best way to do it. You chuck an E in there and you take everything online, potentially you will increase your revenue per employee by 26%. Now, don't get me wrong, we've all been on absolutely terrible webinars. Clearly, this is not one of them. Online can be engaging, yeah? Online can be energizing. It can be about the people that are attending. But you also need to back it up with consistent online training and remembering that 70, 20, 10. Now, I talked to you about something called recruitment here at the head of this, and it is around recruitment high intensity interval training. And it's not just about looking at Luke talking at 1,000,000 miles an hour so he can squeeze in this MP4, but it is about training that's what's in it for the person at the other end and making it energetic, about them, almost like someone was in the room, allowing them to go on specific elements of our HIT so that they can fix certain elements of their recruitment workflow. But it does have to be blended. So we are still thinking that face-to-face is always going to be better, but it's just not sustainable if you've got big businesses or businesses that maybe operate flexibly and you don't want to wipe out your whole sales team by sending them on a course for 6 hours. But I would advise you to do this. Even if you choose not to work with an external training company, think face-to-face, think online, think live webinars, think company messaging. Again, backs of toilet doors, water coolers. What's going on around your beautiful offices to reinforce the message that you want to get out this month? And it's not just make more money. What train stations do your sales and recruit salespeople, resources, marketeers need to stop at along their journey to make sure they are effective? And this is whether or not you have in-house training or you take it externally. Don't abdicate, take control. Unfortunately for you, 90% of what a recruiter does at the desk, they're bringing with them from external factors or they're learning from stuff going on around them. So make that training that you do deliver stick. And then think about blending. Don't we just love this?
This bullhorn hack is...
Think about how you can create really clever hacks in less than 1 minute to get your recruiters and marketeers really engaged with stuff that they need to do more effectively, whether it's sourcing, business development, retention, getting on the phone, all of that lovely stuff. Recruiters now have to be mini marketeers as well as salespeople. The 360 model is dead. They're probably more like 720, bless them, in some areas. And that's with all the extra tech that they need to run. So as much as sometimes we want to shake people, just get on the phone, we actually need to think about the journey that they're going on to make them get on the phone. And the action plan for me is very, very simple. We've got to dump the old hat and get beyond induction. We've got to go down the route and keep energy levels high, because recruitment, in my personal opinion, is a really bloody exciting industry. It's big, it's full of great people, it's full of intelligent people, it's full of people that, you know, I was in a client office a couple of weeks ago, and when someone makes a sale, they jump on a scooter and scoot around the office to the favourite tune. It might sound a bit crazy, but bloody hell did they have a smile on their face when they did it. And that's joy, I think, back in the industry. We also need to think about this time next year, what problems we wanted to have fixed in our business and how training can actually fix those. And trust me, as someone who said at the beginning, I've been in training now for nearly 30 years. Training works when it's modular and it's focused on fixing specific tangible issues or implementing specific tangible ideas, not just, I need to learn bullhorn more or I need to make more money. They're just too big a concept. You've got to really nail down and focus on muscle groups, biceps, triceps, quads, whatever you get, whatever's going on. Focus on those muscle groups within your business and keep that message constant with WIFM, what's in it for me training. So Lisa, if you help me source more effectively, what's in it for me? And I'll say, I'm going to save you 10 hours a week. And you'll say, what am I going to do with that 10 hours a week, Lisa? And I'll say, what do you want to do with that 10 hours a week? And some of my clients might say, I'm going to let them go home. Others are probably more likely to say, I want them on the phone for another 10 hours, and I'll go rock and roll, whatever you wish is my command. But we've got to create more time in the recruitment workflow so we can do the things that are going to prevent things like AI and machine learning from potentially taking over, although come to my webinar next month and you'll hear that I think that's a load of tosh. But anyway. I also want you to think about some of the things that we do with our own clients, some ideas that you can steal from Barclay Jones. We do things called quick flips, where we get people to think in less than a minute how they're going to do things differently. And it's called a quick flip. It's on a flip chart and it's done really quickly. And we'll put, you know, best places to source candidates from and get all the recruiters standing up and writing down what they think needs to change. We'll have the managers walking around in t-shirts every month, getting them to reinforce the message. We will clue up their leaders, damn it, in every meeting, so that leader knows exactly how to win the hearts and minds of their recruiters. We will obviously reassess the workflows of clients and say, Do you know what? You might think it's admin, but for us it's sales. Let's make it as easy as possible. The messaging as well, not just the manager's t-shirts, but toilet doors and water coolers. And we also advise on KPIs being rotated monthly. You know, change the KPIs. You know, what do you want them to perform in better, and rotate them monthly. Think about those hack videos that we've just shown you, and case studies of how John Smith at Austin Fraser saved 4 hours a week as a result of some of the bullhorn training we've delivered. Thinking about using data to prove the point. So I say to my clients, if I can save your recruiters 4 hours a week, which is times 48, what's that then? Nearly 200 or whatever it's going to be. 200 hours a year, what could you do with that time? What does the formula tell you in terms of how many more placements they're likely to make? And let's reward them when they actually start delivering on those stats. And ultimately, every time you deliver training, whether it's face-to-face, online, HIT, whatever you want it to be, you've got to focus in on what's in it for me, what's in it for the person at the other end. As managers, think about how you are going to create accountable staff, not just people who think they're going on a training jolly and then when they come back into the office, 90% of what they do they were doing before, they've not changed. So if I'm going on a training course next week and Michelle is my boss, she's going to sit down and say, right, you're going on a course next week because we've identified that you need a bit of help with A, B, and C, or we're changing the business into 1, 2, 3, and we're going to give you some support to get you through that change. Book a coffee with me, and when you get back, tell me what you've learned and tell me what you're going to do. I'm going to skip into that training course with a flipping notepad, write notes, remember, sit down, walk you through it, probably show you a few things that you didn't know before, and probably more likely to deliver. That is a basic thing. Even in my much younger days, God forbid, in the mid-90s, when I was working for a big systems training company in the UK, we made sure that all of our clients had that process because we were determined to deliver return on investment for those courses, not simply deliver an invoice. There's a big difference. Think as well about HIT. Think as well about Recruitment HIT. If you want to know more about our Recruitment HIT system, just type HIT into your chat and we'll send you some information on that. We are really excited about this because we think it's a bit of a game changer. And to end all of this off, don't forget to subscribe to the stuff that we do. There's so much free stuff in there that you can take and use at your leisure. Thank you very much, everybody, for being such great attendees today. I hope to bump into you very soon. You take care.